Hello, and welcome to From a Basement in Tulsa. I'm Jason Ferguson, and I'm here with my good friends James Robert Webb and Mr. Cody Woody. Say hello, fellas.
Hey man, thanks for having us on. I didn't want to start talking over Cody immediately. I've saved that for
I'm
later.
here with two very polite people, as you can already tell.
Well,
and
yes,
I'd like to start the show with a song. Let's hear it. Or tell me about it. I'm sorry.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to listen to Stealing Mistletoe Kisses, which is a song off of my Christmas album, Born This Day, and that's our single for Christmas. And it's just kind of like, somebody asked me the other day if it was, if I was done with my shopping. I never shop till last minute, so it kind of has some of those themes in there. But
great. Well, I'm glad you're here, and let's hear it.
You bet.
Last minute shopping and traffic jams, the same thing every year. Fighting the crowds, standing in lines, don't feel much like holiday cheer. On the way here, I hit every light. I'm so glad to be out of that car, 'cause the rush of the world disappeared when I got you in my arms. And all that crazy business, but that ain't Christmas. It's sparkling lights, it's a wonderful life. It's church bells ringing, carolers singing, 'cause heaven came down tonight. It's not the gifts or the tree, it's you here with me. So snuggle up closer, pretend that it's cold, and nothing's better than this is stealing mistletoe kisses. I remember thinking when we first met, you were an angel in disguise. I didn't think you'd go for a guy like me, but I knew I had to try. And our first kiss was just last Christmas. There were sparkling lights, everything felt so right. Church bells ringing, carolers singing, 'cause heaven came down that night. It wasn't gifts on the tree, it was just you and me. So snuggle up closer, pretend that it's cold, and nothing's better than this is stealing mistletoe kisses. Snuggle up closer, pretend that it's cold, and nothing's better than this is stealing mistletoe kisses. Mistletoe kisses.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's
Well,
really
you.
cool, dude. Congrats. That sounds beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And if you're listening while you're doing your last-minute Christmas shopping, pay attention. Please pause the episode. I'm okay if you pause and don't get trampled, because that's a thing. And I would really hate to be blamed for any trampling.
That's right. No trampling. This isn't Black Friday. Yeah, that's all. That's over with.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad you guys are here. James, I've known you, I guess, maybe 2 years now, about then.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we met out at Cane's at a show.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm starting this thing. I'm starting to play some music. And you've been busy ever since that day. Tell me what's
Pretty
been going
much.
on, man.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it was it a hot club at Cowtown, Asleep at the Wheel or something like that at the Canes.
I think
you
I was
were
playing
opening.
with Love and Theft.
Yeah.
Or Adley Stomp. It was one of those two.
Yeah, maybe it was Adley. That was probably it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've always been into music. I mean, some of my earlier memories are listening to Fleetwood Mac on, in headphones like these at my parents' console, like an ancient 8-track that they had. And, banging around on the piano. And then I started playing guitar. I was in band when I was in junior high and everything. But I never sang. We were talking about this earlier. I never did sing till a couple of years ago. And I got interested in songwriting, mainly just thinking, what is it about all these songs that I love, like by the Eagles or Brooks and Dunn or Garth Brooks or Metallica or anybody or, AC/DC, these people that have, multi-platinum selling albums that they write their own songs and they write more, they're not just one-hit wonders. What is it about these songs? And versus, the one-hit wonders, what is it about those that, people are it's like ear candy, but they never have any other success. So I got into songwriting and got hooked up with the Nashville Songwriters Association, International. NSAI.
I like the little curve you put at the end. International.
I don't think that's official. That's just kind of
that's your own spin.
That's my Kellyville accent, my Creek County accent coming out there. But I started working with songwriters and working on the songcraft part of it, and then I got hooked up with some people in Nashville doing that, and had started singing as part of songwriting, and they're like, well, you should sing,
Yeah.
I think I always held myself up to people, like I always listen to classic rock, like, comparing myself to like trying to sing Rush or Yes or Journey or, some people with real high voices,
Loving all different styles of music. Have you found that it's the country songs that stay stuck in your head more often? I haven't been listening to a lot of country, but I feel like as soon as I hear any part of any song, I automatically know the rest of the song just from remembering it from the 90s. And I don't think that really happens with every kind of song with me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a different... I like to... This term is dangerous because people, abuse it or have different takes on it.
Party.
But pop, it's kind of poppy. Like there's a hook. Like, sometimes it's pop because it's repetitive, and sometimes it's pop because it's a bubblegum kind of, not too many words or not too many thoughts into it. But some of the better songs, I think, have this kind of hook, and not necessarily just the melody of the lyric, but also they get musical hooks. You think like AC/DC Back in Black, like the first two measures, like repeats the whole song. And that's repetition, but nobody's going to call that pop, right? So I mean, most AC/DC fans would fight you in a bar if you said something like that, right?
Yeah,
break a chair over your head.
I love that pop band AC/DC.
Right. I mean, that's one of the other things I thought of. Popular as far as being popular with a wide appeal. And AC/DC, Fleetwood Mac. I mean, there's a lot of rock bands that are like that. I think we mentioned Metallica, for example. They've sold quite a bit, and people will say that they sell out or whatever. But for me, it really, I mean, those are things that people talk about, but for me, it really just comes down to the song and the music. And I tend to write more the music part, and the lyrics come later, kind of thing. I've struggled with that as a songwriter. Kind of just accepted that over the last summer. That I really hear melodies and chord progressions and things like that first, and then I write the songs later. So, which is good to some extent. Then it's also challenging if I hear something really cool that doesn't fit country, like I listen to a lot of Leon Russell, and being from Tulsa and being a piano player, I kind of, have some of these weird chords like flat nines and diminished sevenths and things like that you don't typically hear in country, but sometimes you do. But sometimes you'll hear them on my album,
Yeah, either way, you're hearing it.
That's just kind of who I am.
And I've been friends with Mr. Cody over here.
Yeah.
He hasn't got to say any words yet.
Yeah.
Hello, man.
How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I'm so glad to have you here. We met 56 years ago.
Yes.
When I was just starting playing music,
Right.
and Cody wasn't quite in the country music style yet. Maybe he was just early on. He hadn't found the love of his life yet, which, man, I knew this was going to happen. Immediately, we're 9 minutes in, and I have the accent. As soon as we start talking about country, it just happens.
Yeah.
I'll try to turn it off, but if it stays, it's fine with me too. But yeah, I've known Cody for a long time, playing in all kinds of bands, and I'm so glad. How'd you guys get hooked up?
Yeah, I think it was Reverb Nation where we met. ReverbNation.com. Singing a jingle or whatever.
Great tool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some of Cody's stuff on Reverb Nation. Thought it was cool.
Yeah.
His bluegrass, stuff that he was composing. I thought, that's pretty cool. And I think we contacted that way first, right?
Yep.
Cody was playing with me in my band when I was first starting to have a full band. Then you got the chance to go to Nashville, which is awesome. And did you have a good time up there?
Yes.
I haven't really got to talk to you about it since you've been back.
Yeah, it was great. It's just little short stint. We're actually up in Pennsylvania and back and forth to Nashville
Yeah.
here and there, and it was cool. I was playing pedal steel with a country singer. It didn't really work out like they.
Garth didn't like him.
Yeah,
really.
I
That was the
understand,
problem.
man.
Yeah, Garth didn't like
Garth
it.
is very particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was it was fun, man. It's
Well, I'm glad to have
part
you
of the
back, and I
journey.
still see you playing out all the time.
Yep.
And playing with, I finally got to see you play a full band,
Yeah.
7 members, right? It was gorgeous.
Yeah, I think we did.
It's
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks
it was
so much.
it was so. I haven't really seen. I've seen a few country bands, but it's always been like me opening for them. So
Yeah.
I was drunk by the time they played, so I don't really remember
I was drunk.
seeing any professional country bands. And you guys sounded awesome. I mean, do you call yourself just country, or do you have a?
General. I mean, that's
General.
kind of where we do where we get the most radio play and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I consider country, but really modern country. I mean, you look at, gosh, I mean, I really got heavy back into country probably say about 2003 or so.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like the last bastion of old time rock and roll, like with Toby Keith and Brooks and Dunn and that kind of thing still going on. And really what I would almost consider roots music,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really roots music by the definition, but it's kind of like goes back to, well, what is it about American music, rhythm and blues and rock and stuff. And that's kind of where you hear most of that. And most of that's off of pop and hot AC and stuff like that anymore. You hardly hear, there's a lot of urban influence. And I listen to urban stuff too, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a different genre.
Yeah. What
It's a wide genre.
What instruments were all in? Well, you can just correct me when I'm wrong.
Sure.
There was you playing guitar. There was mandolin with Cody. Another acoustic guitar, piano, drums. I think there's a couple more instruments. What was I missing?
There were 2 washboards, and
Oh.
I'm just joking. Yeah, so we had
You had a yodeler.
I mean, we had the typical rock, bass, drums, acoustic
Oh,
guitar,
yeah.
rock guitar, piano, and then we had the fiddle and steel player
Oh yeah,
and mandolin
that's incredible.
yeah.
It was so cool.
and singer.
And at the Hunt Club, which
At the Hunt Club.
gets like extra 10 cool points from me.
Yeah.
Just because that's my house. So
Exactly.
that's where I live.
Word.
Yeah.
Shout out Hunt Club.
Can you describe the first minute or the first moment you heard yourself on the radio? Can you put that to glorious words?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first single off of Born This Day was Long Hot Winter, so that was my first country single, and I think it had been out for about a month. I was driving on the Turner Turnpike and actually driving by Bristow when I heard them playing it on KREK, so that was the first time I heard it, which was pretty cool. I knew that people were playing it, and I knew it was being played around, but that was pretty cool to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and then
awesome. Did you have to pull over?
I did pull over.
I would
Actually,
have to pull
I stopped.
over.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I was
Just
heading to
stop on the
Oklahoma City,
turnpike.
but
Just stop right there on the turnpike.
exactly. I kind of did, but actually, I pull. I know the Smiths that used to own that, and I actually left and went over there to say hi and thank you, basically.
Yeah, cool.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, to also be a place that somebody, and then actually almost as cool as that was when my mother-in-law called me and she heard it. She heard my new single "Party in the Barn" that they were playing in Texas on KMU in Mineola, Texas, which is like kind of down by where she lives. So
That's awesome.
That was,
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool too. that
How's-
they're hearing it.
This is an odd question, but was it like were you finally accepted by your wife's mother? Is that the moment you guys? All right, you
no.
can be in our family now.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're good friends. I have a good
just-
relationship with my mother-in-law, actually. So, yeah. No, I'm with you. So now my father-in-law, that would be God rest his soul. That'd been a different story. He would have been like, yeah. So what?
I don't think my parents were this way, but I can imagine them hearing that on the radio the first time, which I of course called them. I was like, hey. Pay attention. Or I may have gone to their house, but I can picture them saying in their head, "Well, I guess this is a real thing now. I guess Jason's a
Exactly.
musician."
Dang it! I guess we're not going to talk him out of it now. So much for that day job, honey.
Sure.
That correspondence course is still waiting.
Can we play that single and that you
Absolutely.
were just describing?
Yeah,
All right, this is awesome, man.
Party in the Barn,
Well,
or which one?
the first one.
Long Hot Winter. Yeah,
Long Hot Winter.
Yeah, Long Hot Winter. That's kind of another relationship song, but it. Yeah,
Is that the one you were saying you heard first?
that's the first one I heard on the radio.
Okay, well-
out to KREK. May they rest in peace.
Right. Well, all right. Well, can we play Long Hot Winter?
I'd love to.
All right. We'll reimagine that you're driving on the turnpike. Here's Long Hot Winter.
Oh, officer. just heard my song on the radio for the first time. How many people get to use that excuse?
Looking out this kitchen window sure is a pretty picture. Whole town is painted with snow. Only footprints that I'm seeing are the ones we were leaving, rushing in from the cold to turn up the heat at home. Baby, come on, Jack Frost is knocking, the temperature's dropping. That don't really matter at all when we're tangled up together. We can change the weather. It's gonna be a long, hot winter. Ain't nothing like some cocoa stirred up with amaretto to make you tingly inside. The way we get to kissing, bet it could melt icicles. Sure would like to give it a try. Don't look like it's letting up outside. So baby, come on, Jack Frost is knocking, the temperature is dropping. That don't really matter at all when we're tangled up together. We can change the weather. It's gonna be a long, hot winter. Well, the snow keeps piling, but the steam is rising. Ain't no need to put a log on the fire. You slip into something that feels like nothing. We'll get close to each other and hold out for the summer. Come on, Jack Frost is knocking, the temperature's dropping. That don't really matter at all when we're tangled up together. We can change the weather. It's gonna be a long, hot winter. Oh, it's a certified every time on. Now never forget her. It's gonna be a long, hot winter.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
It's going to be a long, hot winter.
That's right.
Beep-a-doop. That's Spotify pausing if that's in the cut. Man, what another great song, dude. Tell me about
thank you so
tell me about
much.
your recording process. How'd that work out?
Yeah, well, I started working with Banner Music in Nashville probably about October of last year. And that's when we kind of decided, timing-wise, well, we had time to do a Christmas album before and get it out before the holidays. So
Yeah.
Was this
out last year?
This came out just like a year ago.
Oh,
like
wow.
the
I'm so
December
far
7th,
behind.
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, man, that's okay.
I'm like,
This
it's
was-
new release.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've been so busy, we haven't had a lot of time to promote it. But yeah, so Born This Day. So I wrote a couple of the songs on there. Born This Day, the title track, we released it, kind of did pretty well in Europe. But the recording process, I try, there's a lot of great musicians here in Tulsa, but it's like anything else. People that find success tend to go to wherever the center is.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as far as music industry, like record label stuff, we don't have a whole lot going on here as far as big connections at this point. But, and that may change. But, most people, if they want to make it in pop, Ryan Tedder, you go to LA, right? If you want to make it to Nashville, Ronnie Dunn, Garth Brooks,
Yeah.
whoever, or in country.
You want to make it in podcasting, you stay in Tulsa.
Exactly.
Stay in your basement.
That's right. Exactly. I hope so, man.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys get to be the first ones to experience the flooding. I thought it was done. It's been
That's
raining all
sweet.
day. It's Wednesday, listeners, which is a few days before this releases. And actually, at this moment, apparently, we are being featured on the list. The
On the
national,
list, yeah.
national segment. I don't know what that means. I hope I don't look too goofy, which I probably do. I'm picturing it right now. I can imagine, because I remember the interview, and it was like 30 minutes, and we were on the local segment for like 15 seconds last week. So I was like, man, what was the rest of that interview for? I guess it's maybe for the national segment, and I picture myself just saying, like the host, let's hear from Jason Ferguson from Tulsa, Oklahoma. What's up with From a Basement in Tulsa? And me responding with, it's good to hear from you, Jason. That's how I'm picturing it going now. I hope it's well. Oh, anyway, sorry to interrupt
No, it's
your
okay.
your description.
Yeah, that's cool.
To
It's
say
gonna be on
something
the
silly
list.
about podcast famousness.
No, it's okay. Well, I know it's probably going right at the moment, so I
Yeah.
bet there's a lot of angst and anxiety, but I'm sure it'll turn out great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
always good exposure. So.
I mean, even if it's like I've gone through it. The interview was a little over a week ago, so I've had a lot of time to forget about it. First of all, I got a tweet today
Right.
saying, "Oh yeah, I did that interview."
dude.
Oh dang! But
Wake up.
Whoops.
I
Pause from your
like
Christmas
the worst
shopping.
that could happen that still isn't that bad is if like, oh, we went to visit some good podcasts,
Right.
and then like the second segment is we visited some terrible podcasts. Let's go see what Jason Ferguson's up to. But even so, that's still saying my name.
Exactly. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Right?
That's right. Any publicity is good.
You guys want to see a gross basement? Let's go to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
This isn't gross.
I know we cleaned up so good for that thing. Like
Yeah.
the cleanest my apartment has been the whole time. Anyway, back to
For a
back
basement
to
with
music.
3 guys in it, it looks pretty dang clean. to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
you know.
Oh no, it looks awful. Jason.
It doesn't
I
smell
can't
like
believe we're
marijuana
here.
or anything.
Man, let's hear a basement story that I haven't
Okay.
even said out loud, and I might regret saying out loud.
Oh, boy.
But by my bed the other day, there's a window. There's a
You
window
know
by my
the,
bed.
You know the feds monitor this. Right?
No, this is fine. This is okay. By my bed, there was a spider web, like on the windowsill, which I try to leave them alone. If they're like not a poisonous spider, I try to leave them,
Yeah.
like let them do their thing because they'll kill everything else. But then there was like a huge fly in the web, and I was there for probably 6 minutes, like looking, like, man, what do I do? Like if I save the fly, then the spider doesn't eat, and then like, but if I don't save the fly, it dies. And so I was like having a real crisis, in like,
Yes.
and it wasn't like that big of a deal, but it was certainly on my mind for a while. But then a few moments later, a spider. Like, I was watching the TV, and a spider came down in front of my face. Like, I just saw something come out in front of my eye, and I was like, what the... I was like...
Were you eating curds and whey?
I'm gonna have to do something about these dang spiders. Something's gonna have to change.
Yes.
Why are you trying to eat me? There's a fly over there, dude.
Yeah.
Hope that's a fun basement story. I don't really talk about the
Great
apartment that
basement
much.
story.
I don't give a hill of beans about spiders, but I like webs.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Shameless plug. Couldn't get any cheesier.
James Robert Webb.
That's right. Exactly.
That's excellent, man. I'm glad you guys are here, dude. I'll probably say that 1,000 times. Actually, before I launched the podcast, I had messaged you, James.
Yeah.
I was like, man, would you be interested? And you're like, yeah, I'm a little bit busy right now. You've been recording and playing everywhere. What do you think is your favorite moment in the? Well, it's almost Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody listening. I don't know if we've
happy
said that enough
holidays,
times.
everyone.
What do you think is like the favorite moment of this past year as we're coming up on the new year?
Oh man, there's a lot.
Obviously, right now is the best.
Pretty much right here. I mean, this is number 1, number 2, number 3.
But
if I had to say number 4,
Okay.
would be the birth of my son. I'm just teasing.
That's also pretty great, I'm sure.
Just teasing. As far as in music,
I was just getting how low that sun birth is.
Oh, that's funny.
Please go on.
Oh yeah. My family's been through a lot of changes this year. We just moved houses and all kinds of things. We've had a lot of good memories there. And but as far as my music career, I think being in album recording vocals on, or being in the studio recording vocals on the album that's about to come out has been good because I can see how much I've developed as an artist or developed as a vocalist.
Yeah.
I've only been singing, I don't know, about 4 years, really. In the grand scheme of things, that's kind of not a lot, and not very intensely until like the last year as far as a lot of performance. So when we were in the studio for the Christmas album, it took me a lot of passes, and I had to kind of, what I found over the last year is kind of stripping away a lot of my influences. Not that I still have those influences, especially stylistically, but in finding my voice, I'm a great impersonator, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I can do Ronnie Dunn or Willie Nelson karaoke, but I've got to strip that part out and just make it sound like James, whatever that sounds like, because I don't ever know what James sounds like because I really kind of started singing by doing karaoke and impersonating stuff. So as I stripped that stuff away and kind of, it's made it easier really too, because your range is better when you're kind of right there in the home zone where your voice usually is, and it's just more natural. So to hear that progression from the first album to now is pretty cool. because I've been developing as a songwriter and as an artist and performing artist and vocalist and
that's super
and
cool
producer,
to hear.
and a lot of irons in the fire. And Cody and I think Cody and I have been like to 20 cities or something on a radio tour in the last 6 months.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool to hear.
Great.
Like that to take away the influence. Because sometimes I worry about that. Because I'll easily admit I'm very, very impressionable sometimes, and I'll catch myself even after obviously hearing a country song and then having the country accent for a couple days, just one song.
Right.
Or like I'll catch myself kind of sounding like somebody like I listened to on a podcast that day,
Right.
and I become concerned that obviously influences are going to happen, but that's really cool
Right.
to hear you talking about finding your voice.
It's hard to do that. I mean, it's you can do it. You can only. It's kind of like a kung fu zen thing, and you can only do it to the level at which you understand it. And for me, I could. At the beginning, like on the Christmas album doing vocals, I could, my co-producers would say, well, I like it more when you're in that range, or that sounds a little too Ronnie, or that sounds a little too Leon, or whatever kind of thing. But now it kind of has all come together and made sense. But and what's really cool about that is then you can cover songs and it not be a karaoke cover.
Yeah, that's
you can
cool.
then you can be comfortable making songs completely your own, like Brand New Man or something. That's, make it sound completely different.
That's really cool. I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah.
I've been thinking. I talked to a couple guys at work. Just this thought came into my head, which is never good, especially when we're talking about it on the podcast. If you've listened to previous episodes, you'll
Danger,
know.
Will Robinson.
But I was wondering if when people write songs,
yeah.
like the Nashville writers, Ryan Tedder kind of, and I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about it, but I'll say it out loud anyway. Do you think they add in extra like vowel words just because it seems to be easier to do cool things with your voice on a vowel? I was thinking specifically E. Like E is really hard to roll up and down octave-wise. And I was like...
E, because you're kind of in if you think about when you say E, just say E, like, you're trying to, I don't know, make some really annoying noise. What happens is your lips and your throat tightens up, as opposed to when you're saying O, you're kind of like relaxing everything and widening your mouth. So O, you're dropping your jaw a little bit, and O... and A, A versus E, A versus on, and there's differences. If that's one of the part of the songcraft, if you can figure that out, is word choice. That's kind of like the extra layer of frosting.
Yeah.
And past the chewy center or whatever, is that if you can gear it to more singable things, then that's good. There's a good example would be one of the things that you want to do as a writer is to make songs easy to sing or not difficult to sing. So there's some phrases that are hard to sing, and like here's some are really cool. Like on a song on this next album called called Making Love Tonight, which is basically about let's stop fighting and get it on. Basically,
yeah.
But on the lift chorus part, it's like let's let our hearts take control, which is think about it until you get in the studio. But let's let the la la. Let's let is kind of hard to say. If you can't say it like, Sally search for seashells in Sunshine City 5 times real fast.
This is with all the songs I've written. I hadn't thought about that, but then I think about the songs I do sing, and like where I do the coolest things with my voice, it's almost always an E, and I didn't not on purpose, but it just happens to be that way. And I was like, oh, that's cool that the O and E tightening, that makes sense because it's just. Sorry, those of you who could care less about songwriting. Cody, how does singing the A's and the E's, and how much more difficult is it to sing A, E on a mandolin?
That's much easier. That's why I play one.
That's why he plays the electric mandolin.
Can you describe what a mandolin is?
Okay,
it's more than just a cute little tiny guitar.
It's not just an extra guy that you can lend to other people.
It's not just another stinky dude on the bus.
It's not somebody you can put in your back pocket.
It's not just a feeling.
It's not just a feeling. It's let's see. It's not an ukulele with 8 strings either. People ask all the time, what is that thing? Is that a ukulele? It's like, oh man.
No.
No, it's a mandolin, and there's different shapes. There's a teardrop style, an F style, and they're probably about
motions
whatever
with a
that
hand.
is.
Kind of like he's starting to say the
like
joke.
we'll say like 3 feet.
We'll say 3 feet.
Well, you can
2 feet.
3
just
feet.
Can you tell about where do you know anything about the history of like where it started?
Well, far as I know, it come over here from
Professor Cody Woody.
Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, now
we'll Google it later.
I'm not a mandolin history buff.
You know, you hear some stuff like in The Godfather, like with mandolin, like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's
Italian
really-
music.
I remember the first time I saw one. I was working at Trails Inn Barbecue in Owasso, Oklahoma, and I was like 14 when I got my first job, and there was some people before I even considered playing music, and there were just some people like some rock stars playing out in the lobby. You know what I mean? Like every Tuesday night or something. Yeah. And that was the first time I saw a mandolin, and I was like, man, this is the craziest thing. And I don't know. I think my fingers are too chubs to even consider playing the mandolin.
Man. Well, you look at like Ricky Skaggs. He's not a very small guy. He plays a heck out of one.
What's your favorite instrument to play if you had to pick one?
Mandolin, definitely.
Good.
It's 8 strings, 4 sounds. Is what I like to tell people.
So it's 8 strings tuned to 4 octaves?
Yeah.
Or 8 octaves on 4 strings, or it's just 8 strings and 4 sounds? That's good enough
Yeah,
to
it's
say.
just like, okay, hang on.
Why am I making it so
It's kind
complicated?
of like a 12-string, except with 8 string
So what are the tunings?
and tuned differently.
Okay, from the top to bottom,
okay.
we're going E, A, D, and G. So it's basically
2 E's, 2 A's, 2 D's, 2 G's. Right?
Well, it's like a guitar, but it's backwards.
Yeah.
So
So it's in force.
Yeah, so I just lost us all. It's a beautiful instrument.
Oh, there are no
you're
music
trying
theory.
to tie my brain into a knot, man.
Dude.
I'm glad you're getting to play
No.
often. Every time I've seen you play recently, it's playing the mandolin. So I'm really glad you're getting to play your favorite instrument. Unlike with me, I was limiting you to a bass guitar. I was getting ready. You're like, you're so good at all these other things.
Jason calls me, hey, you interested in playing bass?
No. What's up? You know, Ronnie Dunn played bass. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started
Hard
on
to find a
bass.
good bass player. Yeah.
When I was 11, I started taking bass lessons. Got a bass at 12th birthday. And took lessons for a couple of years, and I ended up thinking that the bass was too boring for me.
Yeah, I understand.
So I got me a guitar.
And can you say a little bit about your own project? I've seen you. I didn't even know you. I didn't know you sang. I just went to see you play, and I was like, Cody's doing a solo mandolin gig, but no, dude can sing too.
Well, I tried to sing.
Yeah,
and
that's all we're all doing.
I like to make people think I can.
That's all that matters.
But I got my own bluegrass gig. It's Cody Woody and the Woodpickers.
Word.
And
I hate saying word. Why did I say that?
Straight
Great.
it's
Man, that's sick.
yeah, word.
Dope.
Word to the Woodpickers.
That's some dope wood picking music.
I try to get some.
That's so Heisenberg.
Yes, Heisenberg. Try to get the best pickers that in Tulsa. I got pretty good handful of guys that know what they're doing, and
That's always good.
He keeps, he's got a restraining order from Roy Clark.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
Other than that, he's pretty much sealed the deal.
If I could just get that lifted, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Anybody out there know Jim Halsey?
Tell me about your radio tour. How was that? And can you give a little information on what that's like? Is it different than coming to a basement to be on a podcast?
It's pretty similar.
It's pretty similar, but the thing about radio tours, usually, it's so unpredictable what's going to go on. That's part of the fun.
Yes.
A lot of it is driving, 3 or 4 hours to some place in the middle of nowhere, or into a big town or whatever, and then you may get there and be there for 5 minutes, or you may be there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you that's pretty interesting, and it's going to be a different experience. I'm going on a different radio tour in February because we're going to start promoting the next single we're promoting at the Indicator Billboard level. So that'll be a grand new adventure too. So.
I have no idea what that means.
Well,
is that just the next level of radio?
Yeah, kind of like the next level up of radio. So we kind of started with the secondary and what they call secondary and tertiary radio stations, which are smaller stations. And that's kind of like the Music Row panel. But then the stations we're going to now kind of report to Billboard and some of the bigger stations. So you might start hearing it, say, in Tulsa.
That's pretty dadgum cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Things seem to be going well.
Yeah.
While things are going well, let's play another song. Do you got one you want to pick for us?
All right.
Let's talk about. Do you want to talk about your most recent single off? It's off the next album.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you've released a single off what's coming next.
Right. Yeah. So we have one of the singles off of the first single off of the upcoming album, which may be released by 2020. I'm not sure.
I know how that goes.
You never know. But
I
I
might
want
write
to take
another
my
song
time
by
with it.
2020.
Exactly. So I might write a hit song by then, but it's called "Party in the Barn," and it kind of, it was written about one of my buddies in Kellyville. It references, in the barn out on Indian Road, which is out in Kellyville.
Yeah.
So,
Which is just south of Tulsa.
southwest of Tulsa,
it's
on the way to Oklahoma City, on
would
the
you
other
call it
side
a
of
burb?
Sepulpa.
Would you call it a Tulsa suburb? I don't know. It's kind of a
Maybe.
little bit further out there.
Yeah.
It's out there where they have barns.
It's kind of like Claremore.
Yeah.
As far as how far out it is, kind of. But there are barns out there. Exactly.
Well, great.
So so Party in the Barn, it's like I think number 56 on the Texas chart right now, and in the Music Row. So.
Well, that's really great, man. Let's hear "Party in the Barn,"
Absolutely.
the single off of what's coming up.
There's a black widow spider on a wooden beam, spinning a web where she can't be seen. But when there comes a shaking, no, it's not a fly she's taking. She's just feeling good vibrations from a redneck congregation, filled to the brim and getting tired. Yeah, they've been packing it in every Friday night. Time to get your boots on, dancing to the neon. Come and get it before it's gone. Live it up down on the farm. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road, where anyone who's anybody's bound to go and get dressed up and drive on down. You can drop your troubles just outside of town. Will they boot scoot, they cut her up, they even do the jitterbug, rip it till the cows come home. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road. Well, I'll show you a good time, just you wait and see. They got a real tight band and it's a 7-piece. Got a fiddle, got a bow, off and away they go, with Orange Blossom Special and the Cotton Eye Joe. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road, where anyone who's anybody's bound to go and get dressed up and drive on down. You can drop your troubles just outside of town. Well, they boot scoot, they cut her up, they even do the jitterbug, baby, till the cows come home. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road. Yeah! Crowd is really moving, in the mood to do some grooving. Couldn't make them stop with an amendment to the Constitution. Cowgirls in their high pants scooting through a line band. Someone left to get down at the Rockin' Body Ranch. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go get dressed up? I'll drive us on down. We can drop our troubles the south side of town. Scoot, cut her up, we'll even do the jitterbug, baby, till the cows come home. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road. After we boot, scoot, and cut her up, we'll sneak out just the two of us, then we'll turn the lights down low. There's a party in the barn out on Indian Road. Lord, there's a party in the barn out on Indian Road.
I'm here with James Robert Webb, and he likes to party in the barn.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well,
Exactly.
that's such a different song than what we've heard. I mean, still country, but different. Yeah. And you can see how you've kind of fallen and grown into your own style in the past year. What do you think you would call your influences from Party in the Barn?
Party in the Barn, I mean, I think you definitely have like that Kim Williams, Garth Brooks, Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, Papa Love Mama, or even like the Travis Tritt remake of the Elvis Trouble, or the Sammy Kershaw, Not a man of many words, so I'll make this short and sweet. Could you, would you? If I ask you, would you want to be my baby tonight? That kind of fast talking up tempo, almost like a rap or jive kind of country jive kind of thing. I wanted to write something like that was up tempo and fun, that was kind of danceable, and more than anything, this is before the term bro country was termed. I wrote this song about, a year and a half ago, And
I learned
but-
here on the podcast that bro country was a thing. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that was a name. And
Bro country.
And I wanted to like it really bad just because of the name. I was
Exactly.
like, yeah, bro country. That sounds bomb. I didn't like it so much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, so it was part of it was a songwriting exercise for me to write a celebration, kind of up-tempo, fun party song without using all those laundry list terms like beer can, tailgate, riverside, you shake it,
Yeah.
like it's just it's kind of like my favorite Mad Libs make up a bro country song. Like, hey, girl, shaking on the tailgate in the moonlight with Riverside, down.
Yeah.
In my, my
Dadgum,
truck,
let's sing it. We'll be
that kind of
famous
thing.
as shit.
Right, exactly. That's right. FCC, that's right. Yeah,
no, we don't have FCC. We don't have to worry about them at all.
Sweet, yeah. Well, in that case, you. So, yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah,
say
by the
bro
way,
country. And I
40
think-
minutes in, feel free to cuss you guys.
That's
if
right.
you feel the need.
I'm waiting for somebody to come up with the hoe country for bro country. Yeah,
I'm into
Hoe
it.
country.
I'm into it.
Don't
I'm
they have
like
that
all-
already?
that's right.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
if
think
the-
people should
I
start
don't
saying
know if-
hoes before bro country.
I don't know if the I don't know if the ladies of country would appreciate hoe
Well,
country
I think what happens is
unless
somebody
they're playing
finds
unless they're playing like the hoe
Yeah.
like garden tool as an instrument. Cody, that could be your thing.
That could be my.
You
Yeah.
could have hoe country and you could play
That's
like
right.
the hoe.
you just like
gonna
strap
have
a
to,
wire, some baling wire real tight, get a winch
Yeah.
there.
I'm giving you guys all you need for
We're gonna.
success.
Yes.
Dude.
We're gonna.
We're gonna be
have
like the
to do
white
that.
stripes of alternative country.
Yes.
I'm going to Wichita. The Seven Nation Army can't hold me back. I'm
really glad I got to see you play finally and see you just really have a good time.
Yeah.
Are you surprised or just me reword this question?
Oh, boy.
Uncomfortable silence.
Were you expecting to feel the way singing country or singing in front of people, or is it what you expected, or is it kind of different?
Well, it's probably more than I expected. I would be happy just producing, stuff that's weird or whatever,
Yeah.
or singing. But to be able to, sing and people enjoy it is, awesome.
I guess that's a plus too. People enjoying it is
that.
nice.
It's nice when people come up to you afterwards and tell you that they enjoyed it, or you're singing something, and you connect with somebody in the audience, and you can see a tear in their eye, or you can just see that they're really into the song or whatever. So that's really cool. I mean, my particular brand, I have little kids, so my brand is kind of the opposite of bro country in that it's kind of family friendly
Yeah.
country. But some of my influences like Garth Brooks or Brooks and Dunn, I mean, they had kind of a wide appeal. Like, Garth, had a lot of appeal beyond just the country audience too. I mean, kind of like Taylor Swift does now. Before, I mean, you probably wouldn't say Taylor's really country anymore, but I mean, even when she was
When that
more
last
country.
album came out, a lot of people were talking about
Yeah.
how you could listen to just about any style of station and hear a Taylor Swift song.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like that's
Absolutely.
They termed it "She Wins Radio." And that's really incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible.
Which
Especially
is
since
good.
I think she still writes a bunch of her songs too, right?
She
Which
does.
Is,
which
is
is
cool.
Cool thing about her when she came into town, like in the when she was 14 or whatever, a lot of writers didn't want to write with her, co-write with her in Nashville, and Liz Rose, who wrote a lot of her songs, was like one of the only people that would write with her. And Liz, probably ended up being a multimillionaire. I don't know, but I mean, she had a lot of cuts and still had a lot of cuts with Taylor. And it's really started the trend in Nashville that the experienced songwriters are more willing to work with younger artists, and help guide them through the songcraft. And it's less of a competitive thing. Back in the 90s, there was just so much money coming in the music business and in Nashville. Now it's kind of gone, but now there's a resurgence kind of in Nashville, for example, of just people that are creative, that are doing it for the love of the music,
Yeah.
not trying to chase the the caviar and champagne that was back then in the heyday of the CD sales and
yeah.
stuff.
Can you describe a little bit about what's happening in Nashville? Like what actually happens? Because I really don't know a lot about the industry and how it works.
Oh, yeah.
And you introduced me to your manager, which is cool of
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And she introduced me to some songwriters, and that's just
Right.
it's a really cool thing to know about. I don't really know how
So
much
really,
it works.
if you want to be a songwriter in Nashville, really you had to kind of work on your, the quality of your songs. So everybody, you write, the problem is we start out wherever we are. It's kind of like most people who have high level of success go to wherever the place is, whether it's Nashville or New York or LA or whatever. But you start off in isolation kind of geographically, and the people that hear you are already your fans.
Yeah.
And it's your friends and family, and they like what you do because they just think it's cool that you're singing. But to get it to the next level to where it's commercially successful and that you have millions of people that like it, then it's kind of a more competitive thing. And there's certain, there's rules to some extent, but you can break the rules. But It's just kind of things you have to learn how to write songs and what makes certain songs better than others. For example, if you were to take a song like, Unanswered Prayers, and compare it to maybe a song that I wrote, what's, especially when I was early in the writing phase, what is different about those? And always trying to make it the best you can, and just choosing words is probably, word choice is a big thing. It may be the difference of one word that you substitute that makes a difference, like that, what's that? Miranda Lambert recorded that song "House That Built Me," and there's this word in there, the brokenness, and it's like the songwriter. One of the songwriters I heard talking is like, when I first heard that, I think, is that a real word? And he looked it up, and it's like, a word. It can be a manufactured word.
It doesn't even have to be a real word.
Yeah, like that was it, "unbreak my heart" or something.
You don't even think about it when you're hearing it.
Yeah.
But once you get, if you get a song, once you get a song written, you may be writing with other writers that have publishing deals or whatever. Then you want to get it typically to a publisher, and they're the ones that usually will get songs. They have a catalog, and then they have song pluggers, or they might have somebody that in their company that takes these songs around and takes them to artists and to producers and lets them hear them. And then, so I got to be a part of that. I had a couple of pitch meetings in Nashville where where publishers came and brought me CDs, and I'd listen, and we'd, listen to a few songs and say, well, okay, I'll kind of like that one. We'll take that, get us a copy of the lyric sheet and that type of thing. And so that was kind of interesting seeing it from the other side,
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm an indie artist, it's not like I'm, Tim McGraw or somebody, them pitching songs. But I got a lot of great songs pitched to me, and on this album I have a combination of songs that I've written or co-written and songs that I drew from outside that just kind of spoke to me, which helped me kind of, to some extent, define who I am as an artist, because there's a reason I like these songs that are picked out, that I didn't write.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that, it was, maybe not the first time. The first time I really paid attention to somebody talking about a song that was pitched to them, I was kind of like, whoa, that's such a strange thing, but that's really just kind of how it works. And I really, so there's plenty of talented people writing these songs, and I don't know, that's just kind of new to me.
Yeah.
That style of making
hearing
it or appearing. When you're writing, what drives you in your writing? What do you think you're getting the most motivation from?
Usually I get the most motivation if I have a good idea. So like if I have a hook or a good idea or something that kind of catches my mind and I can't get out of my head, or I think, oh, that's a cool angle to look at that or something like that. So that's what typically happens. Usually I'll hear that with a melody. I'll hear the melody of it, and then my head may take the melody off in a direction with chord progressions and stuff like that. Or sometimes I may just think, I like this song, I like this chord progression, let's kind of change that up, the rhythm, and and what if I inverted that or something like that, and just experimenting musically. That's another way. But really it's usually an idea. And then what's interesting is you might come up with an idea like, we're sitting here looking at a garden gnome, right? So you might think garden gnome's a cool hook, So you could write something about, okay, and one way to, your initial thought of, okay, I'm going to write a song called Garden Gnome, and, it's me and my buddies went out and stealing garden gnomes is what it's about. And then you might think, well, maybe a different way is I wake up every morning and look outside my window and there's that garden gnome or something, and then you gave it to me or something. That's what I remember. Or I could say, I remember, I don't know, when some guy called me a garden gnome. Yeah. There's different ways you can approach a particular hook, even if you have, use the same melody or anything, or things, the same melody with the same hook, or you can change it up. So it's, there's different ways to approach songwriting like that.
What song on the upcoming album, or even on the previous one, would you say you're most emotionally invested in?
Emotionally invested in? I don't know. That's a good question.
Mine's easy.
I have some songs that aren't on there that I'm emotionally invested in, but they're just not quite ready. Yeah. For example, like there's a song "My Place" that's just not quite ready, I don't think. As far as songs that I wrote, "Book of Me" is a song on the album that's coming up.
I remember hearing that live. And it was an awesome song.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. So that's a good one. Mainly, I really like the emotion in there, and plus it's not really I don't know, you wouldn't really classify it as country, but it is country to some extent,
It's different.
That's such a cool idea, too.
It's a different one. It's a little bit
Me.
more pop power, almost kind of like a power ballad type. It's almost like a, I don't know, what's that Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue or something, power ballad, something like that, or a Leon Russell or Elton John kind of power ballad. The song that I'm probably most emotionally invested in, as far as the one that I liked, that really spoke to me the most, is probably one that will never be released, but just be on the album, called Pictures. And it was written by a couple of songwriters, Arlo Smith and Tommy Connors. And Arlo said he's won like CSAC Writer of the Year a couple of times. And I think they wrote this song a few years ago, but it's kind of, it's called Pictures, which, there's a billion song called Pictures. If you go look at BMI, you look for a song called I Love You, and there's like probably 2,000 songs or more than that. But the angle of Pictures is basically, the first verse kind of describes pictures. They look down from the mantle and light up the house like a candle type thing. And but the move into the chorus is basically that the pictures can tell you what they captured, but they can't tell you what happened right before or after it, basically. And so the lead into the first chorus is like, that they can't tell you what happened right after. Like, that's the one that old couple from Atlanta took of us the night before the morning after we first made love, which is like a really cool line.
That's a cool hook, yeah.
And the second verse has this really cool line in it that I'm trying to think. Snapshots of people and places, faces untouched by the clock. I love that. I mean, those are some really great lyrics. Each one's worth 1,000 words, but if they could talk.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of In Color by Jamie Johnson. He's kind
exactly.
of talking about, like, that's such a...
Very similar to that.
That dude, man, he's one of my favorite songwriters. It's probably a tie between him and Ryan Tedder. But just, he takes the simplest ideas and like takes you somewhere with that idea, and that blows my mind. I don't know that I have any songs really like that kind of take you out and like put you in a place and you can see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty.
So what do, when you find somebody like that, that's just amazing songwriter, Dean Dillon or Jamie Johnson or whoever, then it's like, look at their songs and analyze them. You look at them from different sides. You write them out and say, okay, here's like an internal rhyme I never noticed before until I wrote it out, or here's some alliteration. What's that Ronnie Dunn song? That ain't no way to go. It's like, I guess I'm tired of what is it? I'm tired of or whatever. I'm tired of thinking. Guess I'll do a little wishful drinking, make a whiskey wish upon a star. It's like whiskey wish, like little alliteration stuff, and you just kind of invert trading. You have two little cliches, but they switch the words between the cliches, and it kind of makes it interesting.
That's cool to evaluate so in depth. Maybe that's what makes a good songwriter.
Well, that's kind of the left brain side. And what I would say for songwriters, just like in anything creative, is what we typically do with creative side is kind of right brain and just expressive creative, like, teenager writing in your journal about, I can't believe you broke up with me, I hate you, blah, 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 blah. Like Taylor Swift song, basically. And what people would say, the emotion, just the raw emotion. And I think it's what makes Taylor Swift so good. Yeah. That's the right side of the brain, the expressive, just from wherever that comes from. And those songs are good. Those can be passionate. Those can have really great melodies, and you may be a natural at that. But I guarantee you, if you then go and learn the left side of the brain, like the rules, like things that make songs better, it's really tedious. And you may spend a lot of time, it may take 6 months or it may take 5 years. But once you power through that, if you don't get bogged down in it, if you finally write enough of those that it becomes second nature to filter it through the left brain, then you go back to the right side of the brain, the pure emotion, and then you filter it out through, and then it comes out the other side, and you basically have a Taylor Swift song, basically, a hit.
I basically do everything I can in life to never use logic in my left brain.
Right. Well, exactly. I'm with you. It's painful, It's kind of like going to school or something.
Cody, what do you think is your favorite James Robert Webb song to play live?
Well, probably...
whichever one has the most featured mandolin, I bet.
Yeah,
That's right.
He's like, I like playing the ones I set out on. I get to have a drink.
Yeah.
We have a song called For the Love of Mandolin, which is a 5-minute, in the middle of it has a 5-minute mandolin solo. It's a double album.
I'd say that one.
And that's his, except his fingers start bleeding at the end.
Probably either Party in the Barn or 1865.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great song.
I like old guitars.
Yeah.
Is that on the previous album?
On the upcoming album.
Oh, man.
Yep.
We can't have it yet.
Tune. I know.
Man, dadgummit. Well, just play us the mandolin solo right now, Cody. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, as soon as we get it,
As soon as you get it.
I'll hop it to you. And
Dude,
you
that'd
can-
be awesome.
you
That's
can
cool.
play
When
it, or
when
we can
do you
pop
have an
back over
expected time?
whatever.
Do you have an expected time for?
Well, I've done the vocals on it, so we're just adding harmonies right now, and then we get it mixed and mastered. So I think we should have it by the end of January. I think I'm probably going to do a couple more sessions on vocals to finish up a couple more songs. But we want to get it out probably in January. But I'm talking about to press, the radio and stuff, and so the release date would probably be maybe like June would be my guess. But who knows?
You got all these plans and stuff.
Well, the publicist has to, you have to have like this lead time, like, oh, you mean Rolling Stone Country just won't review it if we send it? They won't get a review out next week. No, they plan their stuff like 3 or 4 months in advance.
They have agendas and things planned. Mine was just like I uploaded it to the internet and played a show, and that was the whole plan.
Exactly. Yep, and if you can get somebody from the Tulsa World to review it or whatever, then, locally, then that's great. Or Bixby or wherever.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm so glad you came over. I'm glad you finally got a chance. Been a busy man.
Sorry to talk so much songwriting, but
no, that's cool.
Man.
That's stuff we're trying to learn, man.
You get him started, he can't shut up.
Yeah, dude. I
This sounds like my wife.
we
Or my 3rd grade teacher.
we were talking at the Hunt Club, and he somehow, of course, happens. We brought up Garth Brooks, which is just a thing, and he started listing all of the songwriters and things, and just all this Garth Brooks knowledge. And I was just like,
Oh yeah.
it's like, man, that's cool. And are you that way with a lot of songwriters and a lot of singers?
I'm kind of like the Encyclopedia Brown of music liners.
Here's an odd question. What's it like to have a working brain? Can you describe that for those of us
It's kind of stressful sometimes because you want to shut it off. Today I was at 1:00. My youngest had like a Christmas program at her preschool, and I was sitting there waiting for the show to start, and I just thought, my God, there's a lot of crap that goes around in my head because I thought about 2 or 3 things that I'd been worrying about, and all this other stuff. I'm like, I was just kind of sitting there listening to my brain rattle off, just kind of almost like meditating or something. I'm like, a lot of old strands in Duder's head, like the Big Lebowski. So
that's good.
I don't know how well my brain works, but
I don't know. I just people remembering stuff. I'm just, man, how do you do it? Cody, can you remember stuff? Heck no. I said, can you remember stuff?
I remember stuff I love.
Right.
But,
Let's have one more song. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Do you want to pick another Christmas song because we're coming up on Christmas, or do you have another one you'd like?
What do you think? Yeah, we're coming up on Christmas. What do you want to send them out with?
Oh, maybe
You want something energetic? You want something sleepy? You want something that's
Blue
gangster
Christmas,
rap?
Energetic
put you to sleep. Let's do
/
Jingle Bell.
sleepy.
Jingle
Either
Bell
one.
Rock?
Jingle Bell Rock sounds cool. Can we?
Yeah,
is that?
Jingle Bell Rock's
on
cool.
there.
Yeah, you bet.
Do you want to talk about some of the playing or the?
Oh yeah, so Jingle Bell
because it's
Rock.
obviously your take on this song.
Yeah, I mean it's my take, but we didn't want to get too far from what people like, So it's just kind of an up-tempo fun. I mean, I like to have fiddle and steel, and so I think Robin Jenkins is playing the fiddle here, and Scotty Sanders is playing the steel, and those are some Nashville session veterans, and it's just kind of a fun version, and let's see what you think.
Well, cool.
You tell me whether you like
that'll
it
be
or
our.
not. You may kick me out after.
That'll be our outro. Well, either way, we're
Get the
leaving.
hell out
So, thank you guys again so much, and
Absolutely,
Merry
Jason.
Christmas and Happy Holidays to all the listeners. If you listen after Christmas, I hope it was happy.
Yep, and
Or
make
if
sure
you
you go
listen
check Jason's feature out on the list. Man.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go look at that right now. Thank you guys, and here's Jingle Bell Rock.
Absolutely.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.